Hi, I'm Steve Morris, Vice President of Residential Sales for Dynamic Air Quality Solutions. For over 25 years now, my team and I have been traveling the U.S. and Canada, training on the technical aspects of indoor air quality. We also cover the communication aspects of indoor air quality, how to get this technical information into layman's terms so the homeowners can understand. We do this on-site training, we do it via WebEx, and now we're your one-stop training center. We've created these modules, recorded modules, so that just by a click of a button, you can go online and listen to indoor air quality communication and technical training. So sit back, learn, listen, and enjoy. Hi, I'm Steve Morris, Vice President of Residential Sales for Dynamic Air Quality Solutions, and my friend John McNutt's here, fellow trainer, IQ extraordinaire. This message here, or this module, is about the history of indoor air quality and why we're even into it to begin with. And there's three people involved in every situation, John, sales situation. Mm-hmm. That's the guys in the field, that's the company, and the client. So if you wouldn't mind telling us a little bit about that client involvement. Why do we even do this for the client?
Well, there's some great reasons that we would want to do it for the client. I mean, I think the first thing that people want to focus on is their equipment. Mm-hmm. They want to protect their equipment. They know that there are things that can cause premature breakdowns. A lot of those same things that cause premature breakdowns also affect the efficiency. So next thing we know, we're overpaying the utility companies. So we really want to protect the equipment first, but then we also know that those same things that get in the equipment, well, those things can aggravate things like asthma and allergies. They cause other health ailments. So for the homeowner, there's a lot of reasons why we would want to help protect their equipment, help protect them, and provide cleaner, fresher, healthier air for their homes.
At the end of the day, that's what it is about the homeowner, helping them save money. And if we can save money, like you said, on the equipment, stopping overpaying utility companies. We can also save them money by, hopefully, if the systems are designed correctly and installed correctly, we will be able to reduce asthma and allergy symptoms, like you said.
Absolutely.
And then medication costs can come down.
Absolutely.
So the other thing that would be involved, obviously, is the company themselves. The companies that the HVAC contractors run and these technicians work for. Tell me a little about your thought process there, how IAQ helps them.
Well, IAQ can absolutely help the companies that we work for. I mean, what we want to focus on is increased revenues. That's how we all survive as a company. So we want to be able to increase our revenues, and we can do that with indoor air quality profits. Not only that, but we can do it at a higher margin. And the better the company does, the better the employees are going to do as well. That's going to help with employee benefits. Mm-hmm. And we also, that's the third focus of that is really the employee themselves. It's the technician. And we want to see how they're going to win with that. I think everybody should win when we're focusing on this. And with technicians, Steve, I've had a chance to work with some technicians out in the field. And one of the things that I always noticed with my guys is they wanted to be more professional. They wanted to have the right answers for homeowners if homeowners asked them questions, or they wanted to be able to provide the proper solutions for the homeowners if they found an issue out there, and indoor air quality helps with that.
And that would be the third person involved.
Absolutely.
As the guys in the field, whether they're comfort advisors or salesperson or technician, even our install techs have an opportunity to get involved here. But like you said, as they become more knowledgeable, they become more important, I guess the word would be, for the homeowner. They become, as the homeowner gets more involved with indoor air quality, the only way they're going to get involved with it on the HVAC side is if the technician is knowledgeable on it, mm-hmm. and he knows on it. That brings more value to the table for not only the homeowner, but for the client themselves, our HVAC clients, mm-hmm. As they build an awareness of indoor air quality and start making it a culture. I think that's one of the challenges we have. We train a lot on indoor air quality, the technical aspects. Then we talk about how to communicate to the homeowner. And then we leave. Then what happens? You know, we see sales go up for a while and then they start going down. So one of the reasons we're putting these modules together is so we have ongoing training. So everybody understands that it's just not us coming in one time and training on technical aspects and then good luck.
Yeah, it's continuous, because every time we watch these, we're going to pick up a different word, a different phrase. We're going to learn something else that's going to help us out in the field. And at the end of the day, that's what we want to be able to do, is help you guys out in the field so that you can help your homeowners, so that you become the experts for them, so that they're going to be reliant on you and they're going to trust what you're sharing with them out in the field. And when that happens, a homeowner is actually going to call, and there's nothing better for somebody to hear, "I loved the tech who was at my home today. I want to have Bobby come
Absolutely.
back out to my home again. That's future service calls and future maintenance calls for you to go on as a technician, and you've got a real relationship, and that homeowner's not going anywhere at that point.
That's the type of technician that doesn't come across as a salesperson. You know, sometimes we teach this stuff and it's like they want to be this high-pressured sales guy, and that's not what we're teaching at all. How do we communicate in layman's terms these different aspects of indoor air quality? I think that's one of the keys. So what we're going to cover today in these sessions is we're talking about indoor air quality challenges, who says there's a problem, why we have these challenges to begin with, why there's even a problem in indoor air quality. We're going to talk about the three phases of contamination. One of the challenges with indoor air quality product solutions is many of the solutions only address one of the phases. We got to talk about particles, germs, and gases, all three phases.
And that way we can provide a whole house cleaning solution. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Right. We're going to get into what's the difference between a filter and an air cleaner, Mother Nature's way, how we can take that information, how Mother Nature controls indoor air quality, or outside air, how they take care of outside air, and how we can take that information and relate it to our indoor air quality market. We're going to think through logically how ultraviolet energy works. We'll talk about the truths, the myths, the facts and the fictions of different products out there.
I think logical is the key term
Absolutely.
in what you just said. There are so many myths and misconceptions that are out there, and people, we just don't fully understand the technology behind how some of these things work and the different products out in the field. And everybody's always coming out with the next latest and greatest. But at the end of the day, is it really? So we really want to focus logically on how these are working.
Right, which kind of leads us into what we're going to discuss today, because indoor air quality wasn't a challenge, when I was growing up, and I'm a little bit older than you. I was, in the 60s and 70s, we didn't even talk about it. I remember when I was a kid, playing baseball or hockey or any sport that I was in, I never remembered anybody suffering from asthma and allergies that I was aware of anyway. We didn't have kids walking around with inhalers.
Well, you see it all the time today. I mean, you can't go out on a soccer field today without seeing little, inhalers and things like that for kids that have asthma and allergies lined up right next to the Gatorade bottle.
So have we evolved into a different human being, or is there a cause? So that's what we want to address. There is something different about our environment today that's causing this. And it didn't start, in the 90s when we got going into air quality. It really started earlier on in the 70s. So 1973, we had an oil embargo. Do you remember that? Or were you born yet?
That was a little bit before my time, but obviously I've studied this. But it was a big time energy crisis. I mean, what we saw in the last few years pales in comparison to the cost of energy and the rise in cost with that energy from the early 1970s.
I remember taking a ski trip with my buddies in high school, and we drove from Chicago to Denver, and it was 59 cents a gallon on the way there. 2 weeks later, in the middle of this crisis, it was 89 cents a gallon on the way back.
Well, think about the percentage of increase in that.
And then about a year after that, it was $1.80. We're getting that just under the $2 a gallon. If we had that today, we'd be throwing a party. But back then, if you look at it mathematically, it went up 4 times. It's what we were used to paying for. So we had this huge crisis. So, as you know, our government's not very proactive. Most governments, whether it's here in the U.S. and Canada, when we concentrate, they're more reactive. They've reacted recently in the last 4 or 5 years with tax credits. You were a general manager at a location before, running an HVAC company. Mm-hmm. You utilized those credits.
Oh, absolutely. They were tremendous for us. And then it seemed like the winter of doom when those tax credits disappeared for us as well. So,
exactly.
But yeah, those tax credits are they're great when they're out there. But it was again, that was even reactive to things that were happening out, versus being more proactive.
Well, back in the 70s, what they did, the way they reacted to this is they had tax dollars and they made it available to all kinds of different people to figure out a way to decrease our energy consumption. And what they found through all the studies that they were doing is about 50% of the energy that we use is used to heat and cool homes. So what a great place to start. Now, I know we did things to get better gas mileage and things of that nature, but what we did is we started changing our building codes. And this is here again about the mid-70s, right after this crisis. So we started taking our homes and making them tighter. Put double, triple thermal pane windows, steel insulated doors. We wrap it in Tyvek paper and plastic, put vapor barriers. We've made the home so tight, which is a good thing. Mm-hmm. I mean, we've done an awesome job conserving on energy, but it's created another problem. And not only did we change the way we build, we changed our building materials. back, 40 years ago, a 2x4 was really a 2x4. And then they started making them smaller to conserve on trees.
Yeah, not so today.
No. Well, what happened, though, is interestingly enough, the old 2x4s were 24 inches apart. When they made them narrower, they had to bring them closer together to get the same structurally sound. So we actually ended up using more trees, but that's not the point. The point is, another thing they did to conserve on the environment was all these little particles of wood that were sitting on the ground when they would cut wood up, is they said, well, we used to sweep it up and put it in a big vat and burn it. Now they take those particles and they put it in these machines. They put urea formaldehyde and all kinds of adhesives in there, and they stick them together and they make 4x8 sheets of wood that we build homes with today.
Yeah, it's the majority of what we use in our homes today. All of our subfloors are made up with plywood. All of the furniture, all the cabinets in our home are made up with that particle wood.
Right. Furniture, what used to be all oak, today you take the stuffing out of your couch, and behind that is particle wood. So that off gases. So the point is that all this stuff off gases, and it gets to a point where the homes are so tight and the new building materials are off gassing all the time. We have an elevated level of not only chemicals, but particles, germs, and gases in a home. I'm probably getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but the EPA does have a very famous quote that says that the indoor air is 2 to 5 times and can be 100 times worse than the worst outside air. So the challenges that we're going to have with the rise in chemical use, even carpeting today is made out of synthetics. That off gases formaldehyde. Formaldehyde levels are higher in homes.
Formaldehyde's found in almost anything, but at the end of the day, what is formaldehyde? It's a carcinogen.
Right.
High levels of formaldehyde cause cancer.
So the high chemical use, the tightening up of the homes, it's created a significant consequence, and that is we suffer from what we call sick home syndrome. In the commercial market, we call it sick building syndrome, Legionnaire's disease syndrome. It's got all kinds of different names for it. Okay, let's talk about the human contribution. So what we do as human beings to add to this indoor air quality challenge. First of all, obviously, we shed skin flakes.
Yeah, I think the number that's out there that I found online was we shed about 10 pounds of human skin flakes a year. And if we're spending 90% of our time indoors, where do you think that stuff's going?
No wonder you're so skinny.
Yeah, it's that stuff that we see that sticks to our TV and builds up on countertops and around our baseboards and things like that. It's human skin cells. And
it also is a food for animals or invisible animals, like dust mites.
Yeah, wonderful, right? Wonderful thing to think about.
Right. We got perfumes, hairs and sprays, air fresheners, deodorizers. One of the funny things about air fresheners, I don't want to pick on a brand, but those little plug-in air fresheners, I always ask people, how do you think the odor gets from that little tube to the other side of the house, to the other side of the room? And it's got a little fan in it. Well, it's not
just
really
smells naturally like potpourri.
Exactly. Do you think they got two old ladies squeezing oranges in there, make it smell like oranges? That's a chemical, first of all, that makes it create the smell, whatever the smell it wants to get. Well, now you got to atomize it and get out in the air. Well, they use a chemical called peridichlorobenzene. Once again, another carcinogenic.
Can't even pronounce that.
Yeah. So you take that information. So what we're doing is taking what we think is doing some good, air freshener, to make the air smell good. And really, it's a really good smelling air polluter. That's what it's doing. It's adding another chemical into the air. Now, if you take any one of these individually, they gave some rat 10 pounds of peridichlorobenzene and it died. Whatever. They know it's a carcinogenic. But it's not that little thing that's creating the problem. It's the combination of the formaldehyde from the carpets and the paints and the stains and everything else that we contribute.
It's another ingredient to that chemical soup that we're living in.
We have insecticides, especially down your way in Florida. We're always spraying for
you
bugs.
You have to have insecticides down here. It's not going to be good if you don't. So, pet dander. How many people have pets today?
Right.
Dogs, cats, birds. So, all those things give off pet dander.
Right.
On top of that, we have building materials. We already talked about some of those. The Tyvek that we wrap our homes with. Well, it's plastic. Any type of plastic materials are going to off-gas that we talk about in our industry as VOCs,
right.
volatile organic compounds. We've got carpets, that emit formaldehyde. There's paints and stains. Just because we can't smell that stuff a couple of weeks after we paint a room doesn't mean they're not there anymore. That's why people don't want to use lead paint anymore. It off-gases chemicals that we breathe in, and some of those things can be long-term. It takes long-term effects
Absolutely.
from some of those.
Yeah. So what this has created, we're talking about the problem, but anytime there's a problem or a challenge, it creates a market, right? It creates how can we solve this problem? So that usually we do it with medication. You know, you go to a doctor, I don't feel good, so he gives you medication. But if we could get rid of the cause, we just have been describing for the last 10 minutes what the cause is. So what's the solution? Who's profiting from it today? And I'll tell you this, John, as much training as we've been doing for the last 25 years, the HVAC market is still not the guys profiting from it the way they should. We in our industry have the perfect opportunity to address the indoor air quality problems because we put a box in there that moves the air 3, 4 times, 5 times an hour that takes all these particles, germs, and gases through it.
I agree with you that, you know, the technicians in the field, you guys are the experts. Who's better to
Right.
talk to a homeowner about the stuff that's in their home that's cycling that air through the home? You guys are the guys wearing the orange smock on aisle 3. It really makes more sense for us to share that information with homeowners.
I agree with you. And then we have great infomercials. Remember the Ionic Breeze by Sharper Image?
It's been a
Yeah.
few years, but yeah, it was really popular
Well,
there for a while.
They sold $260 million worth of that product in 1 year. Now, Sharper Image is a great company. They're a great marketing company. They have many good things that they sell. It's kind of like a high-end boutique kind of place. And their number one selling product of all times was an air cleaner. So don't sit here, Mr. Owner and Mr. Technician, and tell me that there's not a market for indoor air quality when people are willing to spend $450 just to clean one room.
Yeah.
You know, we can do a really
That's
good job.
It's a lot of air cleaners in the course of 1 year.
Right.
Yeah.
And we could do a really good job doing the whole house for under $1,000, you know, at least on the particle control. So if you look at the economy of scale, it costs a lot less, much more affordable to be able to do it in the air handler we're already moving the air. And the reason the Ionic Breeze had a challenge is not because it didn't have the right technology, it had the wrong design. You know, it had electronic air cleaning cells, and we'll talk about, when we talk about filtration versus air cleaning, what an electronic air cleaner's capabilities are. We know they work, you know, but they need to be maintained and cleaned a lot, and so did the Ionic Breeze. But if you put an electronic air cleaner in an air handler in a furnace, it's going to move air by it, and it'll be able to do its job and collect the particles.
So why didn't this work, though? I mean, to me, those are a couple of terms in there. Right technology, but wrong design. So what was the wrong design with the Sharper Image? If it was an air cleaner and it had the right technology, why wasn't it cleaning the air in the homes?
Well, you're going to find through our modules, and we're going to talk about that a lot, there's a lot of products out there that have the right technology, but they're designed wrong. The reason this was designed wrong, it had the right technology. You could have put anything in that little plastic tube it had. You could have put a UV light, ozone generator, or a HEPA filter, or our polarized media air cleaner, and you sit it in the corner and plug it in. It's not going to clean anything because none of the air is being drawn to it. You know, so
Why wasn't it getting the air to it?
they wanted to make the unit really quiet. One of the complaints that people had with room air cleaners, well, they had 3 basic complaints. They're too big. You get a nice one, a Honeywell EnviroCare that works great.
Yeah, some of those are huge, yeah.
The nice HEPA ones. Well, you got to spend $100, $150 a year to replace the HEPA filter once or twice a year. Second thing they didn't like is that it was too big and they had to take the filters and then replace them. That got expensive. The third thing was it made noise. So they said that, well, geez, to make it really quiet, why don't we just take the fan out? The noise will go away. Right? So that's what they did. There is no fan in that unit. So it's not drawing air.
Right. You can have the best air cleaner in the world, but if you don't have a fan drawing air to it, how's it going to clean the air around it?
We'll talk a lot in these modules about air movement, you know, pressure drop, and making sure that air moves, because if we're starving that heating cooling system of air, we're going to have other challenges.
Yeah, we're going to have some big time
So
challenges.
we want airflow, but we want to be able to take care of the particles at the same time. We got big box stores like Home Depot. I mean, anybody that's listening to this now has been through Home Depot. And in the old days, you might have a table the size of this one right here next to the cash register and had 3 sizes of fiberglass filters. Now you go to Home Depot and it's got a whole aisle.
Yeah, they've got whole aisles, and they're not just cheap filters. That's one of the misconceptions I think that's out there too, is that when we talk about homeowners buying their own filters, and most of them are at this point. I think this industry, our industry, we've given up the filter business in a lot of cases. But you go down to Home Depot and they're not $2 filters anymore.
Absolutely
They're
not.
$10 and $15 and $20 and $25. They're getting pretty expensive.
You get to the high 3M Ultras, which are great filters in that they do a really good job taking the big particles out of the air. They can't take the submicronic particles that we're going to talk about out of the air, but they get some allergy relief because you get pollens out of the air. But they're taking a product that really doesn't cost a whole lot more than a 59-cent throwaway filter and charging $25 for it. And the reason they can get away with that is because they're not selling the cardboard with the insert. They're selling what it does.
Yeah, they're doing the marketing on it.
Well, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to sell our products or talk about our products in that aspect is not what the metal frame costs and what the ballast and the tube and the UV light costs. It's what can it do. So at the end of the day, the homeowner's going to want to know what's in it for me. What's in it for them is going to be asthma and allergy relief, keep their equipment cleaner, and all the things we've been already talking about. So when you think of it that way, you can get more dollars when you value add. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing here with our products. We got large retail stores, Sears did some experimenting with indoor air quality boutiques where you'd go in and check for indoor air quality products. I'm not sure how much I got in the HVAC side, but I think it was more room air cleaners. Vacuum cleaner companies.
Yeah, David Ork.
Ork.
He still has his commercials on TV talking about it.
Right.
I saw a commercial that he had on a couple of years ago. It was a vacuum cleaner with a UV lamp in it. And that way you
That's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that way you could vacuum over the carpet and you could kill dust mites and other biologicals that might be growing in the carpet. So, I don't know exactly how that one worked because UV can fade things and there's some other issues with UV.
Remember you talked about talking logically about ultraviolet energy? And I don't want to spend a lot of time on it now because we got a whole module just on UV, but UV needs contact time. Even if it had a UVC light, people don't vacuum like this.
Right. Yeah, they're quickly moving it across the carpet.
Vacuum like this, so you don't have enough time. And if you did have enough time, you're going slow. You're right. It would fade the carpet. So it probably had a UVA or UVB light, and if you laid under it, you get a good skin tan. But other than that, it's not really going to be doing any good. It's another thing that. But you got to think of it this way. It's another thing that they're thinking about. How can we market? There's a market. People want to kill germs. They want to kill dust mites. So here's another way of doing it.
Yeah, well, they recognize the fact that there is an issue out there, and they want to provide a solution. And the truth behind that is people want the solution. People are buying these things.
Yeah, they're buying vacuum cleaners with UV lights on it now. They're buying vacuum cleaners that have HEPA filters. David Ork sells a room air cleaner, and his big claim to fame, which is absolutely true, he'll put it next to an ionic breeze type product, and his will have little ribbons floating and everything else, and balloons. And look at my airflow. This one doesn't have airflow, so that helps us a little bit in our market. He's talking about the need for airflow. But even if you have great airflow in a room air cleaner, it's only going to clean one room.
You're still limiting yourself to one room at a time. So where does it go? The bedroom, the living room, the kitchen? I mean, what room are you going to keep it in?
Right.
Or do you pick your favorite child?
I'd get in trouble for doing that one. But multi-level marketing companies sell it. You got Alpine Air in the day that used to sell ozone generators and ionizers, and here again, a whole other story we can get into later. But people would buy them. They had people going door to door selling air cleaning products. So here again, we're room air cleaners. And Consumer Reports done many studies on room air cleaners, and they find that most of them either don't work or are very limited in their effectiveness. Limited meaning, it works great, but it only does it in one room.
Right.
And we've done some testing. We work with 3 labs. We have 3 test homes. All the products we're going to talk about in these modules have been tested, lab testing and in real-world tests. We've also do real-world tests on other products, like room air cleaners. We put them in little conference rooms, turn them on, and believe it or not, the really good HEPA ones, we got substantial reduction on particles in the air. But then you open the door to that room, and the particles from the rest of the building rush in there, and the particle count goes right back up.
Right.
They're only designed to have enough CFM to clean one room. So our HVAC systems, and this is where I think a lot of the HVAC contractors are missing the boat here, is we have the airflow already. We don't have to create another fan. Our systems are designed to heat and cool a house and bring all the air in the house into the central location 3 or 4 times an hour, 96 times a day. John, I guess what we're saying is the HVAC contractor has a perfect opportunity to tackle the indoor air quality problem by using the HVAC system that's there already, moving 1.2 million cubic feet of air a day.
Yeah, absolutely. That's agreed. Not only that, but it makes the most sense for the homeowner.
I agree with you. So on the next module, what we're going to start to cover is what the experts say about indoor air quality and the indoor air quality challenges. And then we're also going to talk about how Mother Nature takes care of the outside air and how we relate that to the indoor air quality environment.